We will switch gears now and wrap the show up talking hockey with another person who's in a leadership role and also has been in a unique seat to watch what's been happening in our country the last 10 days. Blake Wheeler, who is the captain of the Winnipeg Jets, who has some hockey in his future. We're going to talk about that here in the next couple of minutes, but also from Minnesota, went to the University of Minnesota, Golden Gopher. So what have been the emotions watching what's been happening back home, Blake, for you?
It was pretty surreal, to be honest with you. I mean, to start off and just talking to my family, my parents, my wife's parents, and hearing some of the things going on back home. It was almost like you couldn't believe it. I think we've been really proud of our, the community back in Minneapolis for, how they've come together to peacefully protest and demonstrate. And, even after some of the destruction to the city, you've seen so many Minnesotans come out and help these local small businesses rebuild and clean up and kind of start to turn the page.
And you didn't have to speak up. I don't think anybody was looking to, oh, what's the captain of the Winnipeg Jets saying, even though you're a Minnesota guy by birth and by college degree, but you did. Why did you speak up and go public with your thoughts on what was going on?
Well, I think it was such a traumatic instance, and especially when it happens in your hometown. I sat there for seemed like a couple days, with my wife and just wanting to say something and just not really knowing how to put these thoughts into words. It was the first time I'd ever had to do something like that, and finally was able to kind of get out what I wanted to say. And I think what pushed me over the edge a little bit was, by not saying anything, by staying silent, you're not helping. You're not helping. Push things in the right direction. And I believe the right direction is getting as many people, to speak up as possible.
So you do all that, you pour your thoughts into it, you hit send, and then you wonder, how did it play with the people who follow me? What have you heard back since?
It's been a lot of real positive, and I'll be honest with you, I don't, we have three small kids at home, so I don't have a whole lot of time to comb through, all the mentions and all the Twitter responses. But, just through the people I know, there have been a lot of really positive responses, and I think it's been a lot of positives of, I'm really happy you were able to say what you said, and, I feel the same way, and I'm glad that you were able to say it, and, I want to speak up too. So, clearly we live in a world where we're not all going to agree on everything, and that's why not going through the Twitter replies is probably a good thing. But I truly believe on this particular issue, we can all get behind this.
Well, thanks for sharing all of that, Blake. How you been doing handling everything at home there, pitching in a little bit as your 2 months of being one of the people keeping the kids in line is starting to trend now towards getting ready for a hockey season. Well, how would you grade your performance there at home in the last couple of months?
I hope I've done okay. I tell you what, I've gained a real appreciation. Not that I already didn't appreciate the work my wife does at home, but even to a higher degree now. Keeping the household in line, even just the small things like cleaning up the kids' toys every night and making meals and all the little things you take for granted when you're on the road, and now you see it firsthand. What she does for us every day. So I'm so grateful to have such a great wife, and she's had to be the glue even more so now. As a pro athlete, you're used to being out and doing things all the time, and now we're in the house a lot. So she's been our rock even through all this.
So Winnipeg was in the nine spot by point percentage of games played. So that gets you into this tournament here. Have you been thinking about what that might look like? As I said when we had Gary Bettman and Don Fear on the day of the announcement, this is the longest scouting report you'll ever have on opponents here. We're sitting here for 2 months knowing that if we get back to playing, who you're going to play.
Yeah, I mean, and we only played Calgary one time this year, and it was in an outdoor game. So even
Ah,
that, was a
that's
bit of an
right. Yeah.
exhibition game, compared to a regular season game. But we have enough familiarity with most of the guys on their team in the past, and some really explosive guys up front. I mean, they play the game hard. their head coach, Jeff Ward, he was an assistant coach in Boston when I was in Boston, so I know him pretty well too. And, he's going to have those guys fired up and ready to play. So it's, if we get to that point and we're able to get back on the ice, it's going to be a great matchup.
What do you think about all the testing and all the plans that are in place? I know so many players have been deeply involved in the small details of the conversation here. How comfortable are you with where things are set up to try and return to play sometime at the end of July or early August?
There's just a lot of unknowns, and I think clearly the players, we're all, our health and safety is at the forefront. So we're the ones that are putting ourselves out there and at risk, and so we want to make real sure that the proper protocols are in place, and obviously the NHLPA, the NHL, everyone's on board with that. I think our safety is at the top of the list, and from what we're hearing, there's going to be a lot of testing. And I think the players are good with that. We just want to make sure that we're not taking these needed tests away from people that really need them. And if that's the case and we're able to get it back on the ice, I think it's a good step in the right direction.
Have you been on skates at all?
Yeah, so I've been a little bit lucky. We're down in Boca Raton, Florida, and once Palm Beach County entered their kind of phase 1 reopening, some of the ice rinks down here were able to open up, and my skills coach, Adam Oates, lives in Jupiter, Florida too. So we split the difference and found some ice in Palm Beach. So, I've been one of the lucky guys that have been able to get out a little bit.
I would imagine that's going to be rare because most of the players we've been talking to over the last 8-9 weeks have been talking about that same conversation, whether it's restrictions or finding ice. They haven't been able to get themselves on skates. It's been, for some of them, the longest in their entire lives that they haven't been out on skates. They're going to have to get adjusted and ramped up pretty quickly here.
I think so. I think more and more as the economy is reopening, guys are able to find some ice. I think in Canada it's been a little bit more of a challenge. Here in some rinks have just kind of started to open their doors, and so yeah, that's a very real thing. I mean, I think getting back into game shape is going to take a little bit of time. I think hopefully we're able to have not too long of a training camp, but long enough that we can get back into a little bit of game shape before, things obviously ramp up pretty quick.
Well, we've got 30 seconds. What's it going to be like to jump right into the intensity of playoff type games after not playing for about 3 or 4 months, if this happens?
What I'm assuming, I played in the World Cup of hockey a few years back, and our first exhibition game was against Canada. We played 2 exhibition games, and that was going right from the summer into, those were pretty intense matchups for an exhibition game. And I remember after those games, we have guys on that team that have won multiple Stanley Cups saying that was harder than any Stanley Cup game I've ever played in, just for the fact that they hadn't been on the ice, and all of a sudden now you're playing against the best players in Canada. And so there's going to be probably the first 2 games are going to be really tough, but, I think the teams that stick with it and just kind of grind their way through it are going to be the ones that have the best shot.
I'm sure. Blake, thanks for your time. We appreciate your honesty and all you've shared with us. Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.